Yo, Still Mills, what's the deal, man? Peep game, man. I think I told y'all one of the last videos I did, how, I got clapped at because I wasn't necessarily, I refuse to have a bias towards my people when it comes to this sport. And is it necessary to have a bias towards the people in, towards your people in this sport? And why is that? You feel me? Like, when you talk about bias, that means you are willing to disregard all the bullshit that they do just to big them up. Like, why do we have to be subjected to that just because of what we going through in society? And a lot of these cats, like, for example, like I said, the dude, it was a brother on there who was because I challenged his stance on Teofimo being, not Teofimo, but Tank being a 3-division world champion. I'm like, how was he a 3-division world champion when we had an undisputed match just a few months ago and Josh Taylor collected all the belts for that division? And of course that turned from, it went from a boxing paradigm to a more socialist paradigm, where it's not about speaking the truth as far as the sport is concerned. It's just bigging up your fighters and being supportive of your own. And which is cool, most definitely be more than supportive of your own. I'm not saying don't support your own. I'm not saying that at all. But it's just it's the paradigm behind it that that goes with it. It's like, why is it cool for black people just to be mediocre, and us just being black is exceptional? Like, why is it that, what I'm saying, we can, everything we do in society, we do, and we do it big. We do it like nobody else. We do it like nobody else. I mean, for God's sake, the fucking very culture that is turned into a multi-billion or multi-trillion-dollar culture was created in the land of the heartless. You know what I'm saying? Just a deprived community of people, of black people, in the Bronx of New York City. Think about how hip-hop has touched every corner of this fucking planet. That's power right there. You know what I'm saying? That's power. And to this day, we're still dominant within that. I think, the only thing that, we're not as dominant as far as the B-boys are concerned. We're kind of outnumbered by the B-boys. So, I mean, with, like, Asia and Europe, they produce a lot of B-boys. But, you talk about rap, you talk about DJing, even graffiti. I mean, I know we might be challenged in graffiti as well. I'm not too sure of that, but I know for a fact, as far as, rap is the dominant element within the confines of hip-hop culture. We're dominant, and it's not even close in that regards. And nobody can, as far as DJing is concerned, we're still dominant in that field as well. Official DJing, not just some niggas. Nah. Motherfuckers who can still spin vinyl. That's DJing to me, man. So nonetheless, why is it that we dominate any and every aspect of sports or just entertainment or anything? And we're, when it comes to boxing, it's just okay to be a mediocre. It's just, as long as you're a champion, as long as you're a melanated champion, that's all you need to get by. Nobody can take that from you. Like, that's cool, that's exceptional, that's all right, cool. You went to infinity and beyond to achieve that, and that's not always the case. It's not always the case. Now, you look, if Charlo, or Jermall Charlo, and Demetrius Andrade, and Gervonta Davis, and Deontay Wilder, if these cats were to retire today, it'd be a worthless career. Are they champions? Yeah. But have they beaten the best that the division has to offer? Absolutely not. Have they even as much as fought the best the division has to offer? Absolutely not. So I had this brother trying to really convince me that I'm siding with these white folks for sitting here trying to tell him that Gervonta Davis isn't a 3-division world champion. He doesn't have a title at 140 pounds. And me speaking that truth in his eyes was, you know, acquiescent to, I'm kissing these white folks' ass. I'm trying to appease Massa and all that shit. And I'm like, no, it is not pay to be biased, man. Like with him, it was like we supposed to be biased and, you know, fuck being fair. We've been trying to be fair for all these years. Which then that, you know, he didn't say this, of course, but you know, you got to know how to read in between the lines as well. Being fair has never been reciprocated as far as black people are concerned. We haven't had a fair treatment in society. We've had to work 10 times harder than the average motherfucker just to get a fraction of what they have. Like I said, even when you talk about rap music or hip hop in general, man, in any aspect of hip hop culture, we don't own nothing, even though it's our intellectual property. So from that paradigm, he has a point. He has a point. But in most cases, you're not gonna mention somebody as being the GOAT if they know how to just simply make good music. And nowadays, good music doesn't, you know, it's not equivalent to being, you know, dope in your craft. You can have a fire production, a catchy hook, and some bullshit lyrics, and that shit is gonna spread like wildfire. But you won't. He won't be a nigga that you'll big up as being a GOAT. No. So why is that in boxing it's cool with just being getting a belt? No matter how you got the belt, you can fight for a vacant title. You can have drag amounts of title defenses against nobodies, and that's cool. That's successful. That's the epitome of success. No, that's just not the movement, my nigga. That's not the move. Why is that okay? Why is that okay? And these people who are in this space, they're here due to, what transpired last year of February with Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. They're here because of that. They're here through a Young Pharaoh video. And don't get me wrong, that shit is dope. Young Pharaoh is not a dumb nigga. That brother is very intelligent. He's very intelligent. Extremely intelligent. And the fact that people know who he is, that shows me that they're seeking truth. Some sort of truth. Because just where we are in society today, from a political standpoint, economic standpoint, just anything, we're always, we're at the bottom of the totem pole. So these cats are searching for some sort of truth and just upliftment amongst people who look like them. So if you seeking out Young Pharaoh, the fact that you wouldn't even know who Young Pharaoh is, that's dope to me. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that narrative right there, just knowing who he is. However, when you peel back the layers even further and you see what Young Pharaoh was saying, you realize that he's not necessarily a dude who follows the sport. He's not at all. He knows nothing about boxing. And that's what's so dangerous about this shit. But when it's time to conflate the two. When you conflate the two, now granted, there are most definitely bullshit ass racist undertone narratives that do go down in boxing that most definitely need to be spoken on. It is. But what happened February of 2020 is not that. It's not that. And because people are so biased and they're cool and comfortable with being biased, they're completely negligent of the other bullshit that's surrounding what happened that night. Being biased is never, you disregard all the bullshit. I had my man tell me, oh, I didn't believe what Wilder was saying about Mark Breland. I thought that was all that was some lies. So I'm like, so it's cool for Deontay Wilder to lie, but not Tyson Fury? Wilder gets a pass for not lying. Now, mind you, Wilder's lying got a black man fired and a white man kept, and a black referee drugged through the mud. And to this day, is getting black fighters who disagree with him clapped at. Jermell Charlo, Andre Ward, Tim Bradley. All these black fighters are going, I don't agree with none of that shit. Chris Colbert, I don't agree with none of that shit. You lost. Jamal Charlo even said, man, no, Fury punched the shit out of Wilder. And laughed about it like, nigga, no, you didn't get robbed, dog. And he got all of the smoke for them niggas, but not none for the white boy who fucking did you the most harm. So and that's where it's like, all right, my nigga, like, this shit is just getting ridiculous. You're not gonna, anybody who's siding with this bullshit, that you're inadvertently signing off the fact that you're saying that Mark Breland was a snake in the grass. But if you don't believe that Mark Breland was a snake in the grass, that Wilder lied on him, then that means you're comfortable with the fact that he fired Mark Breland and kept JD's. You're comfortable with that. So in some way, shape, or form, you're condoning cooning while you're calling the niggas who don't agree with it coons. There's no way you can get out of that. There's no way you can get out of that. So that's why, people have been telling Wilder for years, and I'm just, I'm just going on a tangent with Wilder. This video isn't necessarily about Wilder, but it speaks to the bias of people. People have been telling Wilder for years what he needs to do. They've been telling him, yo, man, Teddy Atlas, I remember, is on many of occasions breaking down the holes in Wilder's game. Fix this. Fix it. Nah, I'm good. After he knocked out Luis Ortiz, and now it was all about nobody watches heavyweight boxing to see skill. They want to see knockouts. To a lesser degree, he has a point. But everybody wants to see knockouts in boxing, and when you watch two heavyweights fight, this is the Goliath of the Goliath of the divisions in boxing. So yeah, you want to see that, but that doesn't necessarily. You get knockouts through skill set. You can break somebody down and get the knockout. He got comfortable with that. You had to be perfect for 12 rounds. I got to be only perfect for 12 or 1 second. He found comfort in that. Found comfort in it. Nobody wanted to call him out on that. And even now, nobody wants to call him out on the shit that nobody wants to even. Everybody is praising the fact that he's trying to add certain facets to his game. Everybody's praising that. But nobody is peeling back the layers and saying, okay, well, if what you did worked and you in fact got cheated, then what you were doing up until now wasn't necessarily fraudulent and wrong. So why all of a sudden the change of heart wanted to gain some sort of foundation? Why now? Why now? You dig? So even when you look at when you start to peel back the layers, you start to see a lot of these people is just, y'all talking and y'all are actually shooting yourselves in the foot. Yeah, you dig me? Like, it's getting ridiculous. It's getting past ridiculous. That's what happens when you're biased. When you're biased, you can't even. You're so gone and far gone and lost in your ways that you can't even realize what it is that how goofy you look when he's contradicting everybody right now. Honestly, he's contradicting his claims. It took a referee. It took a crab in a bucket referee and a disc oil trainer just to stop me. And an egg weight, even though now you're adding new skill sets to your, to your arsenal. Like, we gotta be realistic about shit, my nigga. We got to be. Being biased is never going to be a fucking logical thing to do, because you disregard all the bullshit. When you look at Gervonta Davis, there's no way you can sit here and tell me he's a 3-division world champion. It's not about bias. You want to, after that man retires, after that man takes his last breath, you want him to be held in the esteem that we hold a Sugar Ray Robinson to, a Muhammad Ali to. You want to be able to mention him with those cats, Marvin Hagler, Parnell Whitaker. You want to be able to mention him in the same breath as those greats, those elite level fighters. That's what you want. You want to talk to him, talk about him like you talk about a Willie Pep. You want to talk about them like that. That's how you, because that's your man. So naturally, you want the best for him. You don't want to bring up your favorite fighter and there's somebody else there who knows about the sport, and the minute you speak on him, he start tearing your fighter down. Gervonta Davis, man, he ain't yada, and they go straight to his flaws, and they go straight to his resume. You don't want to do that. A lot of people get mad off of that because this is my opinion. That's how a lot of people get. This is my opinion. This is my top 5 pound for pound. I ain't say nothing about you. This is my opinion. This is my opinion. You don't want to be in a position where you have to do that. Like Muhammad Ali is genuine, in general known as the GOAT. Nobody is gonna argue against that. Nobody is gonna argue against that. You want to have that same shit for your, for who it is that you love as a fighter. You love to watch this man fight. So when you talk about the shortcomings of a Gervonta Davis, it's not to denigrate him. It's simply saying we refuse to settle for this bullshit. Cool, how they're trying to market him is about star power, and star power through propaganda, not necessarily through accomplishment and accolade. They're trying to push him as, what Leonard Ellaby was saying, there's 70 people in this, you would know, a Gervonta Davis fight, that shit gonna fill up. That shit gonna fill up. It's 70, it probably wasn't 70 people in that building who knew who Josh Taylor was. How many views did his fight get when he fought on ESPN? Now, granted, you get that network when you subscribe to a Cox or whatever cable, whatever cable company you go through, but nonetheless, that's that many more people that's drawn into his fight. So that, that creates a fan base, that creates a buzz. 1 million plus people, it's a lot of motherfuckers. For you to sit here and talk about, oh man, like what does Josh Taylor bring to the dance? You got to bring something to the dance. You just went up and you just had this man go up and fight for an interim title at 140. Josh Taylor's gonna bring you all the belts that matter in that division. What are you talking about? Bring something to the dance. What are you talking about? Like, just the logic behind people's thinking, it gets ridiculous, man. And they're comfortable with fighting for an interim title because it's a certain level of bias they have towards him as a fighter. That's not good. That's really not good. Gervonta Davis is an exceptional talent. Like I told homeboy, that young brother is exceptionally talented, man. And it's not like when you look at Deontay Wilder, he only has one weapon. Gervonta Davis has a vast arsenal within his repertoire. He does. The kid is really good. He's really good. He can compete with all them cats at 30 and 35. He can compete with them and beat them. He can beat them. Why are we, hindering him from achieving that? I mean, it's a lot of brothers who are coming out like after Floyd made that remark where, oh, we gonna fight in-house fighters, and just pretty much disregarding the other top dogs in the division. Man, we ain't worried about none of them. We fight in-house fights, and it's so y'all don't want to see him test himself, test his greatness, and it's a lot of brothers who are mad about that. Like, y'all, he's really not gonna fight nobody. You just okay. You dig? Floyd doesn't have to go through that. Why? Because Floyd beat his contemporary in Manny Pacquiao easily. Gervonta Davis, who's his contemporary? There's a multitude of them. He hasn't established himself as the best at 30 or 35. Like, it's between him and another individual. He hasn't done that yet. He's established himself as one of the best. Floyd and Manny were the best in that division, despite Manny getting comatose by Juan Manuel Marquez. They were the best in that division. Everybody was clamoring for a fight between them two. Gervonta Davis has yet to have that. You dig? You like, come on, man. Being biased is just not the move. It just, nah, it's not the move. It's not the move. Because in the process of you being biased, you're going to big up the little bit of accomplishment that this man may have under his belt and disregard the drag out accomplishments of the next. You're going to drag out Tank Davis's account. Like I just see somebody say Josh Taylor doesn't have a win equivalent to Tank Davis from him. I'm like, what are you talking about? Just that's the mentality that I'm talking about. Just bias. And it's like I said, it's not even about boxing at this point. It's just simply about bigging up another black fighter, which is cool. Which is cool. But now we have to ask once again, why don't y'all big up Danny Jacobs like that? Danny Jacobs they laugh at Danny Jacobs. I've even seen people go back and mention that Danny Jacobs had cancer. He beat cancer. Like he lost to, he's not the fighter that he once was because he beat cancer. He had cancer. Like, nah, man, he had cancer. Come on. He a cancer patient. Even though there's no middleweight, there's no black middleweight that has the resume of a Danny Jacobs. We that far gone to where it's like, nah, man, Jamal, Andre. So even then, where niggas is selective about the brothers that they decide to pick up. Niggas bang on Terrence. Niggas bang on Bud. Who he for? He ain't for nobody. He ain't for nobody. But they'll love the fuck out of Spence for ducking him. Now, like, there's layers to it because with Spence ducking Bud, it allowed him to enhance his resume. I won't deny that. I won't deny that at all. Kell Brooks, Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, Manny Pacquiao. It was a smart move to make. History has proven it. But nonetheless, he did tell Bud, why won't I go and get the easy work first? Why won't I go and do that? So it's just, when it comes to bias, that you're always going to have a bias when you like a particular fighter. I get that. But the objective is to keep the bias to as much of a minimum as possible. As much as the minimum as possible. Like they tell you, you bias towards Canelo, you bias towards Anthony Joshua. I try, if I am, my bad, but I most definitely try to keep that bias to a minimum. You wouldn't, like I had someone tell me, you wouldn't ask Canelo to do what you asking of Charlo. I'm like, how didn't he? He's fought, mandatories. He's taking on top opposition. Charlo isn't. That's all I'm asking. If you're gonna defend, you have a responsibility as a champion to face other champions. Canelo was doing that. But what's so wild about Charlo is y'all are so fixated on Charlo getting that Canelo fight that y'all won't even entertain him fighting Andre. Y'all will just completely disregard that shit. Charlo doesn't get the scrutiny of clearly ducking Demetrius Andre. He doesn't get that level of scrutiny. You go on these forums on Facebook, every Canelo post it has the same talking points. He's ducking Andre. He's ducking Charlo. Oh, he ducking David Benavidez now. Now it's David Benavidez. But mainly he ducking Charlo and he ducking Andre. Even though he's told Charlo, you next. You in the scope. They'll disregard that, and if he beats Charlo, it's gonna be, oh, he ducking Andre. And Charlo's gonna go to the wayside. He'll be in the same realm as a Danny Jacobs. You dig? It's like, yo, where does the bias stop at? Where does the bias stop at? There's no reason why a Charlo should be getting away with fighting Juan Montiel. There's no way he should be getting away with fighting a Matt Korobov, a Brandon Adams, a Dennis Hogan, Oh man, what's his name? Oh man, I can never remember this dude's name. Well, there's no reason why he should be fighting these cats. This level of opposition for him being a champion. His brother's a champion, and his best win is Sergey Derevyanchenko. You got to think, Charlo did not win that. He didn't win that strap. He didn't take that belt from nobody. He won a vacant title, which there's nothing wrong with winning. Hey, people they've done this throughout the history of the sport. Something goes wrong with this particular champion right here. All right, cool. He got to get stripped for his title. Bet that. Joshua fought for a vacant title. Wilder didn't. Wilder beat Bermane Stiverne. There's nothing wrong with fighting for a vacant title. You'll say that. I think it's necessary to bring it up in certain capacities. But there's nothing wrong with fighting for a vacant title. But what happens after you obtain that title? Now you have a duty to upkeep. You know what I'm saying? To defend that title against the best competition available. If you lose along the way, you lose. It is what it is. But that doesn't mean, I mean, shit. You a champion, get you a rematch clause in. You're gonna have to beat me twice if you want that title in my respect. It's bias, you dig? It's the bias in it. There's no way Canelo would have been able to, if Canelo would have went 12 with Adley Yildirim, but won the fight, dominant performance. He showed vulnerabilities throughout the duration of the fight, but still clearly won. He wouldn't be able to lay that down. There's no way they would have let him get away with that. Charlo went 12 with Montiel, didn't even drop him. 112. You supposed to put this man in a fucking coffin, but you didn't, and I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. But it's the narratives behind it. We can disregard that shit happening with Charlo, but if that was Canelo, he'd still be facing scrutiny behind that because of a certain level of bias. Now me, Canelo picked that mandatory in Adley Yildirim. I keep hearing it from both sides. He didn't pick him. He did pick him, or Mauricio Sulaiman ordered it. Man, listen, man, they all do fuck shit. Mauricio Sulaiman does. And another thing, man, he allowed Wilder to get away with the goofball bullshit that he's been getting away with. None of that shit gets brung to light. But when he does something in favor of Canelo, he's thrown under the bus. Bias. That adds to my point. That adds to my point. You dig? This is why eventually you're gonna get slapped. You're gonna turn the other cheek and get slapped on the other side. Because it's ridiculous how this shit works. You look at Charlo hasn't fought the most adequate opposition. But none of that shit gets spoken on because they just so he was a Canelo's mandatory for 5 years and yada yada yada. He was thrown a fight in a contract allegedly, and he turned it down. And within 5 years, look at who he's fighting: Danny Jacobs and Golovkin. Danny Jacobs and Golovkin, mind you, Canelo, he got that strap because Canelo was stripped. Charlo did. Cool. A mandatory does not supersede champions, dog. It just doesn't. It does not. It does not. And this doesn't exempt Canelo from, not facing a mandatory. You're a mandatory, you've earned that position. I'm back on the road and my voice is going, so yeah, I gotta, excuse that, but it doesn't exempt him from going and fighting his mandatory. It doesn't. No. It absolutely doesn't. And him going and fighting Sergey Kovalev and going up and down in the divisions and weight like that, it doesn't exempt him from not having to fight Andre. He should have went and got that. He should have went and he should have got that. He didn't, whatever. For some reason, he just will not fight Andre. He just will not fight him. I don't know. But nonetheless, you know, these cats aren't necessarily in. Nobody is banging on Charlo for openly ducking Andre. Nobody is banging on him for saying tell Andre to go fight Juan Montiel and see how he does. And if he do good, I'll fight him. Even though his last opponent is better than Juan Montiel, ranked higher than Juan Montiel. Like, come on, man, this is just ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous. And they pick and choose who to be biased with. They're all biased towards PBC fighters. Devin Haney, as dominant as the performance he put on against Jorge Linares, when he showed signs of vulnerabilities, oh, stay away from Teofimo Lopez. If Teo hit you like that, if Tank hit you like that, none of them are as battle tested as Jorge Linares. None of them. None of them. How many division world championships did Jorge capture? He's like a three or four division world champion, fighting the best in the division. Like, come on now. He's far more battle tested than Tank. He's far more battle, you know, and he's the only one that I've seen hinder Lomachenko's angles and footwork while he was in rhythm. He's the only one I've seen do that. The only one. Teofimo was able to pivot and spin out with him, but when he started throwing off of him, he looked lost. I always come back to this. Every time Lomachenko would spin out, he would do what Nakatani was doing, but it was a lot more calculative. Nakatani would just flail his arms out and like he'd be lost. He'll be lost. But, you know, I know you over here, so I'm just flail my arms out and I'm going to just wrap you up. Jorge Linares was very much so poised when he would do it. Lomachenko would spin out and he'd beat him with his left hand, with his left hook, not even looking to score. Just slow you down. Because you don't know if you got to go on defense or not. You know, it's hard. When you suspend it in there like that, it's hard to, you ain't going to be able to slip the shot or get up under the shot when your feet are off of the ground. You don't have your feet under you. So it was smart. Jorge Linares is crafty in the ring, and he knew a bit. I literally said that before he did that. We have a group text with me and the cats at my gym. I'm like, he's gonna land something big out of desperation. And what happened in that last round? Boom! Then ushered him to the corner. Ushered him to the corner. And when that happened to him, disregard the fact that, yo, man, this dude is a crafty veteran. Oh, if he get hit like that by so-and-so. So we just ignore everything else. We completely ignore Devin Haney jabbing this man to death. To get in range and out of range before he can even swing. Like, this dude was moving he was working so fast. Like, he was just so fast and fleet-footed and quick on his toes that he would get in and get out. And while he's out, like, he gets in and he gets out so fast that the dude's brain hasn't even computed to throw the punch yet. So he's reacting. Like, you got to think about that. He's absorbing the shot and reacting to the punch after it happens so slowly. You know, and by the time he reacts to it, Devin Haney is out of range. So that whole little transaction that went down, he's no longer even a part of that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, because it just happened so fast. I hit you, I'm out. All right, cool. It takes a minute for you to process me hitting you and you actually countering. Think about how wild that is. Nobody wants to think about that shit. Everybody wants to disregard that and focus on the fact that this man got whopped and he had to wrap up. Where's that same bias with Tank Davis when he was getting his bells rung by Yorioka Gamboa? Despite him getting out of there, it took him 12. This is what I'm talking about. Y'all pick and choose who y'all want to be biased with. Y'all pick and choose who y'all want to be biased with. And the people that y'all usually want to be biased with, the other black fighters, they're usually PBC fighters who have found their way into this space by way of Young Pharaoh, accusing Tyson Fury of cheating. Not a good look, brothers. Not a good look. Not a good look. Be for your people, most definitely. But kissing their ass does not put them in a dominant in a dominant position where they, where they're like, oh yeah, I'm that nigga. You showing yourself in a submissive state. That gas them. Like, oh shit, hell yeah, I ain't gotta do nothing extra. Shit, I am who I am. I'm that nigga. Not a good look. Not a good thing to do. Don't enable their shortcomings, man. You want that man to be great. You want that man to be great. You hold him accountable for his wrongdoings. That is what it is, man. Anybody who ain't doing that shit, they just allowing the bullshit to just go on. You cripple them. You cripple them. You cripple them. If you was a coach, it's your job. Because you gotta think. They listen to you. They listen to us. They do. They most definitely do. These cats are, shit, even the NBA players. You don't think they listen to Twitter? They don't listen to Twitter? They don't listen to social media? Of course they do. Them giving them backlash or whatever, getting on there, popping after a while, yeah, that shit stings. That shit stings when you up there talking greasy. Yeah, that stings them. And they go on the defensive, as they should. They listen. So they listen to all the voices of people bowing down, kissing their ass. They listen to that. They hear it. And if you're not critical of them, then they'll just keep going along with the fuckery. You have a responsibility as even fans to, to hold them accountable. You may not be able to do whatever it is that they do at that level that they're doing it on. But all right, nah, man, you're better than him. You're better than what you're showing us. You gotta give us more. You gotta give us more. You gotta give us more. It is what it is, man. Stop enabling these niggas. You could be a fan of somebody and still be critical of them. That makes you a more loyal and sensible fan. Stop condoning they bullshit. You are not against your people just because you think Deontay Wilder did not get robbed. He got his ass beat. The nigga got crashed in there. That's what it is. You are not against your people because you know Gervonta Davis isn't a 3-division world champion. You are not against your people because you said you want Charlo to fight Andre. That's it. That's it. The sooner we come to this conclusion, the better. We can have a logical conversation and respectfully agree to disagree. Until y'all cats come out of this mentality that it's okay to just be black and mediocre, we doomed. We're doomed in this sport. In this sport, this is the most deadly sport in the world. No sport is as vicious as this. And you're telling me that it's okay to be mediocre? You can go in there playing with your life. You want the niggas to go in there and just play with their life like that? I gotta wisen up, man. I gotta wisen up. Stop that fucking dumb shit. Stop that bullshit. There's nothing wrong with holding a fighter accountable for his wrongdoing or his shortcomings. They need that. They need that lashing. They need to be held accountable. They need to, nah, man, you ain't doing it. You got to give us more than that. They need that. Otherwise, they'll never achieve the greatness that is installed within them. They'll get stagnant, they'll get complacent, and they'll be okay with just being mediocre at what it is that they do. And y'all dumbass niggas will be there to defend them looking stupid because your own bias won't allow you to see the reality of the situation that's going on. I'm done ranting on this, man. You niggas just burnt out, man. Like and subscribe. Let me know what y'all think, man. Fuck out of here. Peace.